If everyone would rise and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance together. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome. Couple of items to mention. Please silence your cell phones. Our meetings are public and recorded. This is a business meeting, so we ask everyone to conduct themselves in a professional manner. Our city code allows for public comment up to 3 minutes. And for best sound quality, please lean into these microphones to speak. So with that, we will call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. And next up is roll call.
Alderman Schwarzkopf is absent. Alderman Gabbard.
Here.
Alderman Reinecker.
Here.
Alderman Hannibal is absent. Alderman Demond.
Here.
Alderman Neboy.
Here.
Alderman Dojan.
Here.
Alderman Peel.
Here.
Okay, with that, I will call for a motion to approve the financial statements.
So move. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Roll call voting that kicks off with Gabbard.
Hey. 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 Hey.
Motion carries. Next up, I'll call for a motion to approve the estimated and listed bills.
So move. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Roll call voting with Reinecker.
Hey. 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 Hey.
Okay, motion carries. Is there consideration of any additional bills from anyone? Okay. I have no correspondence, any public or guest comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. The consent agenda is fairly long tonight. We have items A through V. Does anyone want any of those items pulled out to discuss separately? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
So move. Second.
Okay, we have motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Roll call voting. It starts with Demond.
Hey. 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 Hey.
Okay, motion carries. We are up to reports of committees and we'll kick off with finance.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Under finance, the only item that we have is maturing CDs, which will be addressed at this month's committee meetings. We have a CD coming due 5/16 of 25.
Okay,
That's it.
alrighty. Anything for personnel?
Nothing there.
There's nothing from public health and safety, so we'll move on to public works.
First item is authorization to hire part-time help.
Yes, we had done some advertisement for the part-time help. And so I have two recommendations. One they would do summer work and then move into co-op. That recommendation would be Max Walter. I would like to make that a recommendation for hiring for part-time at the current pay of $16.11 pending physical and drug test. And then the second one would be Zach Groman. Also, because we're wanting to do some help painting some gas meters and different things. And then he would also just be summer help basically for the summer. And then if we would need anything once school starts up. My current co-op will be leaving at the end of June. So there'll just be a slight overlap there. So it'd just be trying to get some stuff taken care of. So I'd have those two recommendations, same rate of pay for both. Max $9.99 hours per part-time for IMRF.
Any questions? Now to make a motion that we hire both, what Josh stated at the rate of pay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to hire Max Walter and Zach Groman at $16.11 per hour pending physical and drug test. Any further discussion on that?
Yeah, did you, Josh, mention in your weekly that you may use them for meter readers too?
Yes, which I will have. I received resignations from my two part-time meter readers. So I'd be able to utilize, I have talked to both of them about their interest, pending obviously council approval tonight. So we would be able to move into that.
Would
So-
that stay at that rate of pay or would that?
No, there is a separate for that after hours meter reading.
Okay.
Which is a set rate already.
Any further discussion on that? Then roll call starts with Neboy.
Hey.
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 Motion carries.
Next item is a switch gear for the Redmond Business Park development.
This is part of the Red Bud Business Park development. This was included in the stuff that we had done with all the grant applications and everything else. So they were just, and lead time on this is 59 to 62 weeks. So would just like to see about getting approval to get moving forward with this. And then once we get it in, obviously before the business park, I would believe at some point, some of this cost will be reimbursed through that. with that.
Okay, so basically you just need approval to move
We would just
forward.
need approval to get the order put in.
So I make a motion, we approve to place the order for this switch gear with Fletcher Reinhardt.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to place the order with Fletcher Reinhardt for the switch gear. Any further discussion on that? Roll call voting starts with Dojon.
Hey.
Hey,
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 Motion carries.
next item is a proposal from Vanderventer Engineering for the piping rehab and check valve replacement. Looks like that is at a cost of $13,577.
Yes, that is included in next year's budget. I did include that in there and update the budget figures with Liz to account for that. That is when they were down doing the other work on the other pumps, they noticed that one of the pipe supports was out and it's kind of pulling on the pipes for the structural necessity of that for the water plant. We want to make sure to get that taken care of. So we'll just seek approval of that.
I make a motion, we approve the proposal from Vanderventer Engineering at $13,577.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the proposal from Vanderventer Engineering for piping rehab and check valve replacement. Any further discussion on that item? Okay, hearing none, we'll start voting with Peel.
Hey.
Hey,
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 Motion carries.
that is all.
Okay, is there anything from zoning?
Nothing, Mayor.
Okay, Cultural Committee, I'll take that one. I will entertain a motion for United Life to meet from 10 to 11 at the four-way stop on the list of dates provided in your packet. So someone would make a motion on that.
Second,
I said if someone would make a
Oh,
motion.
I'll make a motion. I'm sorry.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Then roll call voting goes with Gebert.
Hey,
hey,
hey.
Hey.
Okay, motion carries. Next up is recreational facilities.
Thank you, Mayor. Under recreational facilities, we have the splash pad sign. We discussed this at the last meeting. Jeff's not here to speak to it, but from what I can tell, it looks, I don't have any issues with it.
I would like to see maybe an emblem prohibiting like guns, maybe on the other side prohibiting knives on there. Even though it should be relatively obvious that it wouldn't be there, but I would still like to see something like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
We could do the little circle with a slash through with the symbol of a gun or a symbol of a knife.
Yep.
Is that what, okay,
I could talk to him about it.
all right, okay. Do I need to add that in the motion?
sure. What the heck.
Okay, then I'll make a motion that we move forward with the splash pad sign with the chief's request added to it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the splash pad sign with minor adjustments. Any further discussion? Roll call voting starts with Reinecker.
hey,
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 Okay.
hey,
Motion carries.
the second item is the Rats Park parking lot. I guess the idea came up was an option to use motor fuel tax dollars with regards to this. And then in addition to that, a retaining wall, which would be, I guess, would that be the west side of the parking lot at a cost of $10,500. I personally do not want to use MFT funds because the engineering cost and other reasons. I'd like to move forward with what we discussed in committee. But obviously that's all up for discussion. And then in addition to that, with regards to the retaining wall, I did talk to Liz today, and it appears we have $11,900 left in this year's operating in the budget for Rats Park. 8,318 of which is from building and grounds maintenance, and we have approximately 3,600 in the equipment line. So if we want to move forward with the pool, we do have money in this year's budget to pay for that. We just have to do some line item transfers
For the
for the retaining wall. Other than that, I would like to see us move forward with how we presented at committee. But obviously, you know, everything's up for discussion.
Is there some other ideas within the group here? Because I realize this came up after we talked about it at committee, but I felt in fairness that we had to present all these items to all of you.
Well, and I guess actually, you know, the estimated cost goes from 59,990 to 70. Actually, it would be 75, would it not? With the 15,000 engineering cost?
There's a couple things at play here, and I know
So,
I'm
yeah.
gonna
when you-
let Josh cover
So
some of this.
If you were to use MFT funds, the hard bid you have in front of you can't even consider, because that has to formally go out for bid. And more asphalt is not pre-qualified. So you would probably get I would assume probably a higher bid to redo the parking lot, because you'd have to formally bid that out using MFT dollars. So in addition to the engineering cost of 15,000, you'd also probably have higher bids for the paving if you went with the MFT dollars.
Right. And we're currently, what, do we have them in what CDs? So we're currently collecting interest and monies on our MFT funds that we would potentially lose in.
Now, if you go back to your handout, we've got about $442,000 available. And on top of that, $1 million in a CD.
In a
So
CD.
there is liquid MFT dollars.
Okay.
And for those of you in the audience, motor fuel tax, sorry, we're throwing an acronym around here. Um,
And please note, Kyle, on that MFT that we did allocate 300 or
400 is for this year.
400,000 for this current year's maintenance program.
Okay. Yeah, I personally would like to stay away from MFT and just go as we discussed.
Now, one other.
Especially with the engineering costs.
One other flip side, the MFT dollars are out there. They are intended to get them in the community to use them. I mean, there's a number of ways to look at this. One other variable, when we really get into the pool and start looking at that sand issue, you know, if there is some other expenses there, it could free up some dollars. We have a dog park that's not fully funded right now. So there's a lot of balls in the air on this one. So a lot of different angles to consider.
But potentially, since we know about the MFT funds and we plan for it, we could potentially use that at Lincoln Park and then free up, or in the future pending grants and all that other stuff.
Yeah,
But-
now that we've learned parking lots are in play,
Right.
yes, we need to look at probably all city parking lots and how, if they meet the criteria or not.
Okay.
I think a lot of it, if they're used for transit issues, which Lincoln and Rats are both used. I see commuters park there. I see kids that get on the bus park there. So they definitely fit the criteria.
Okay.
What about the retaining wall idea? That's another thing that came up since we've met last.
I don't have a problem with it. I think it would look nice. I mean, now that we've found that we have money left over from this year's that's there, I would assume do it right and make it look nice. Does anybody have any idea when the last time was that that parking lot was built?
You know, oil and chip.
I don't even know.
We oil and chip it every 4 years.
Okay. So yeah, it'd be nice to get done.
So we've got how much allocated for this year? You said 300 and some thousand.
400, I think, but that's including culvert work, the paving, the patching work on Locust, curb, sidewalks, and our normal MFT dollars.
And when will we be getting additional NFT dollars?
Those come in monthly, I do
Yeah,
believe.
they come in monthly, $20,000 to $30,000 a month or so. So that fund will continue to build, even though we're pulling this 400 out of here. So we,
we're
you know,
looking at-
we wouldn't short ourselves if we would use MFT dollars.
Okay. And this is way out of your line. And this is a question for Jeff, but he's not here. Several years back, just an aside in one of our meetings, we worried that MFT could recall funds if you don't use it. I don't know how true that is.
I've never seen that, just because they've been allocated to us through that program. We are utilizing a lot more of them now, doing curbs and sidewalks. So
But we have
you
$1
always
million
have options. You always have options too. And I know we had a lot of that rebuild
But we have $1 million
Illinois
in
money,
bonds.
but we've used those up. So
We did use a rebuild.
we were able to utilize it and put those into use. So,
We still have $1 million in bonds,
And CD.
CDs.
Yes.
but yeah, I mean, we typically probably have 200,000 to 300,000 a year I don't know exactly what our annual allocation is.
Just as long as there's no danger of losing any money, that's my concern.
So Josh, you say every 4 years you oil and chip it. Do you have any idea what cost is associated when you oil and chip it?
Not offhand, not without looking at.
Because that would be eliminated, correct?
Correct.
Or used somewhere else.
Correct. Well, it just, we wouldn't have to allocate that amount of, that quantity for
that
the
area.
MFTs.
Right.
Dollars.
Okay. My other concern a little bit with it was, with it being our first year with the splash pad, it's gonna be busy out there. We're hoping it should be busy out there. The timeline, I think, a little bit with this kind of concerned me with having to go through the engineering part of it and not being, so basically it's gonna be what it is until this fall. That was my concern. So, and I think what we had proposed initially, and I do like the, gosh, that's not, I do like the retaining wall idea, because that area always has needed to be cleaned up a little bit. It's always been pretty kind of a nasty little area. But if we could get that moving forward sooner than later, I think that would be a great idea.
Well, I think even with the general fund idea, the option A, I think that is going to probably take at least till July to get completed for the whole project. So we will have it torn up a few days,
I
a
mean,
week.
you'd want to do your concrete pad first, so they could pave up to that. You'd want to have your wall in, if you're gonna do the wall, want to have that in so they could pave up to it. My assumption would be, excuse me, probably a 3 days worth of work, probably a day of leveling binder, a day of surface cores, coming back and striping.
But there will be a length of time where that entire lot will be closed
Correct.
despite the splash pad and the pool
And
being.
Ted is good, and if you go that route with more asphalt, they're good with scheduling. They do our ceiling work, so trying to work around things, we could, work a schedule to where, you don't have a big swim meet or,
Exactly.
things of that nature based on the scheduling.
Okay. I'm of the opinion, sooner is better, and I would like to move with what we discussed at committee and doing the retaining wall. I would make that a motion.
Okay, just one more time. So you would do the motor fuel tax for the lot as we have the, sorry, said it the wrong way. The general fund
He's going with option A plus retaining. wall.
plus a retaining wall.
Yes.
Okay. That's the best way to say it.
Yes.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to do option A.
Sorry.
All right, Jeremy.
Jeremy.
With the retaining wall. And just as a side note, you worked with Liz that there's monies to.
Yes, I have it right here. Yes.
Okay.
We're covered on that aspect.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on that motion, on that option.
One thing real quick. So we're still gonna use like $10,000 from Thielen Fund, right?
Yes, that, using option A, we would be using about 10,000 from Thielen and then about 10,000 of existing dollars to cover that wall.
Gotcha.
Any other further discussion on that? Okay, who's the lucky vote? Starts with Demond.
Hey.
Hey,
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 Okay, motion carries. Is that it from recreational facilities for
It
this
is.
evening? Okay, planning commission. You want to speak
Uh,
about that?
yep, a couple things. The first one was a special use permit for Evelyn Sondag to have a mending shop in her home. It was unanimously passed by the planning commission, so I would like to entertain I would like to make a motion to allow ordinance number 1557 to allow her to have that mending shop and for that special use permit.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for special use permit for Evelyn Sue Sondag, the mending shop ordinance number 1557. Is there any further discussion on that? Okay, roll call voting starts with Nevoy.
Hey.
Hey,
Okay,
hey,
hey,
Okay, motion carries. Congratulations. She's sitting in the back of our audience tonight, so.
and the only other thing I had is our new chairman is also here. John Holzem is the new chairman of the planning commission also.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I wish you well in your new role. Okay, anything else then, Alan?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, next up is Economic Development Commission. I believe there's a couple of items.
yep. First thing is, our March 26th meeting, the, Economic Development Commission reviewed a loan application from First Stage Fabrication for $140,000 for 7 years. The commission passed it unanimously, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the First Stage Fabrication loan of $140,000 secured with business assets for a 7-year term with an interest rate of 3% under prime determined at the completion of the loan.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the First Stage Fabrication loan as outlined in that motion. Is there any further discussion? Okay, roll call voting. This starts with Dojon.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey,
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 Okay, motion carries.
okay, the second thing, just an update on Christopher Ron. We do now have first on all 3 properties. We have releases from the 2 banks involved. And I think Rebecca has all the paperwork ready to be signed. Close.
Yeah, still working on that.
I know Kristen is planning on coming on 17th or 18th or April to sign that paperwork. 2 more weeks. Week and a half. And the Coopers will also serve as the escrow agent on the account. And if there are any issues with that, we'll refer to them. They will be getting a 0.5% of the loan for payment plus a fee of $50 for each draw, and that will be come out of the $550,000 loan.
I was double checking on the draw cost. That was an estimate.
Is that right?
No,
Okay,
we're thinking it is.
okay.
Close enough.
I really don't have any motions or anything, just an information.
update.
It's finally
Jill, do you-
there.
Do you have anything to add to that or?
No, he summed it all up. Hopefully we'll have things wrapped up by the 18th of April. May, no,
April.
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 Don't confuse me, Joanne.
We haven't approved that budget yet.
Sorry.
Okay, so that's just an update then. So, okay, so hopefully, once we get that paperwork signed, we'll start to see much more changes across the street. So that's all for economic development then, Mike?
That's it.
Okay, Parks and Recreation Committee. I will toss that back
Thank
to you.
There's the first item of business is to accept Brad Mayberry's resignation from the Parks and Rec Committee. I would make that a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept Brad Mayberry's resignation from Parks and Rec Committee. Any further discussion on that? Roll call with Peel.
Hey.
hey,
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 Okay, motion carries.
The second item is to appoint Matt Shields to the Parks and Rec Committee. I would make that a motion.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to appoint Matt Shields to the Parks and Rec Committee. Any further discussion on that? Roll call voting starts with Gebert.
hey,
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 Hey.
Okay, motion carries. Old business, there's nothing on there. So we'll shift to new business, the review of the calendar. See, Library Board meets on the 10th. Planning Commission on the 15th. I believe there is a hearing that night
Yes.
possibly.
Yep.
Okay, please note the 18th, we are closed for Good Friday. We're back here the 21st for committee. And Mike, is there a reason or any reason to have Economic Development Commission one more time for you?
We got it there just in case that Michael comes across.
Okay, so it's a placeholder right now.
It'll come through in time.
Okay, so for right now, just kind of hold that spot.
Yep.
Okay, subject to change. Okay. Next item in your packet, I would call for a motion to accept Brenda Sauger's resignation from the Library Board.
So move. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept her resignation. Any further discussion?
These are great letters to put in there.
It was. Roll call voting with Reinecker.
Hey. Hey.
hey,
Hey.
hey,
Okay, motion carries. And yes, I will agree. This was a wonderful historic document that she gave us. So, Okay, next up, there's an item here for Monroe Randolph Transit Board. I have been serving as a representative and my calendar is getting full and overflowing. So Liz has agreed to be Redbud's representative on the Board of Directors. So I would call for a motion to approve Elizabeth Cowell as Redbud's representative on Monroe Randolph Transit District Board of Directors.
So move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call voting. This starts with Demond.
Hey.
Hey,
Hey.
Hey,
Okay, motion carries. Is there other comments from anyone this evening? Okay, hearing none, I will call for a motion to adjourn.
so move.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We stand adjourned at 6:25 PM. Thank you all and have a good Easter coming up.